Welcome back to the 52 Weeks to Wealth. My name is Gualter Amarelo, and we've been traveling. This is Wealth Principle 29. So we've been traveling for 29 weeks through this journey to build wealth. Before I go any further, I got to hit the record button on TikTok and on Instagram. Let's give Doreen a big round of applause for reminding me that there are other social platforms out there. So Wealth Principle 29 is 100% ownership. And the book of the week is Take Extreme Ownership. The idea behind this is that your results are directly related to the things you've done, to the time you've put in, and the dedication that you've put into creating something for yourself. So we're going to have an exercise like we do every single week, because building wealth is all about doubling your net worth and doubling your income. Hence, care if that's something you're interested in doing. You want to double your net worth, double your income? Excellent. Hence, if you want to do it with less work. Now, even though the principle is take extreme ownership, take all responsibility for everything in your life, it will actually create less work for you. Because right now, the things that you're saying, well, that's somebody else's fault, are no longer in your control. And so you have no control over it. And so things happen randomly. When you say, this is my fault, I make the choice, you're out of my business, you're in my business, get it done the way I want it done, suddenly things happen faster, more efficiently, more money's flowing, customers are happier, a system is being followed, and results are being achieved. Hands to the camera if you can imagine, if you could conceive that this would work in your world. If there are changes to be made, and we're going to go through a process today for changes that could be made. Do I have permission to show a little bit of these results? 7 steps to taking extreme ownership. Awesome. Excellent. So I'm going to put these up on the screen for everybody who's on TikTok and Instagram. I apologize. I'll say them to you. What is one thing you would like full control over? And you can drop it in the chat on TikTok, you can drop it in the chat on Snapchat. What is the one thing you want full control over in your life? Is it your money? Is it your health? Is it your wealth? Is it your relationships? Is it your household? Drop it in the chat. What would you like full control over? Fill up the chat with things that are important to you. 1 or 2 things you want full ownership, full extreme control. It may be your happiness. It may be your mood, your state, your energy. It could be the people that you spend time around. By the way, you can't control the people. All you can do is control yourself. But put it down there if you want to write. I see, nobody's said that yet. So time, control your time. Yes, another great one. So drop in the chat, what is something you want full control over? Something you would like to have full control over so that you never have to be at the mercy of somebody else again on this arena. And I see a lot of really good solutions here. I see a lot of things that people do want control over here, which is finances, living situation, my income and health. Health again, time, use of time, food intake, health, wealth, passive income, financial freedom, health, time. Absolutely. So all of these relationships, there we go. Somebody wants control of relationships. I agree. Funding, people putting money into your account. Absolutely. If any of these are a concern, let's dive into this next session with a commitment to solving the most important one for you. Here are the 7 steps to taking extreme ownership in your life. The first step is your attitude sets the tone. Your attitude, how you feel about the things you're looking to achieve in life, will dictate what ends up happening for you. So if you have a feeling that is mediocre, if you have a feeling that's, well, I don't know if it's going to happen for me because in the past it hasn't happened, well, you'll manifest that feeling, that reality for yourself. And if you're looking for the reality of things happen the way I want them, your attitude must always be that no matter what, you will get what you're seeking. Hence, can't-free grasp this. If we walk through the life, we're like, no, it's happening the way I want it, then things start happening the way you want it. Even in conversations with people, you'll notice that suddenly people are listening to you a little bit more because you're very clear about what you're looking to accomplish. It's the attitude that sets the tone for everything else in your life. So the next one, step number 2, is check your ego. Now, Dr. Terry Wager talks a lot about ego because he deals with emotions and people's success and achievement. And one of the things he'll say about ego is that you can't kill the ego. You kind of need the ego. It's kind of got to be there. But ego, it stands for, Terry says, eliminating great opportunities. So eliminating your ego sounds like work, but you don't want to eliminate your ego entirely. You just want to put it into place. You don't want to eliminate good opportunities. You want to diminish where the ego stands up in the wrong place and strengthen where it stands up in the right place. I found that a lot of people have weak egos and then others have strong egos at the wrong times. So the best time to have your ego is when you're planning. The best time ever is when you're by yourself. when you're alone, when you're planning the thing that you want to do. The worst time to have your ego is when you're in front of somebody else. When you're in front of somebody else, you're supposed to be listening to them. You're supposed to be building a relationship with them. You're supposed to be guiding them or serving them at some level. But people make the mistake of having their ego in place when they're in front of people. And then when they're not in front of people, they're like, whatever people want is fine with me. I'm fine with whatever. Ego sets goals. Ego sets your standards, where you belong in life, where you want to be. But it also is just your subconscious mind. It is a representation of what you've already built for yourself. The ego is simply something that you've built over time, and now it's just running on autopilot. Like, you can reprogram it to do things a little differently. Hands to camera if you've ever changed something in your programming. You've ever decided, when I see this person, I will smile. Has anybody ever taken the commitment to smile to every person they see in a day? Ever taken that challenge on? It's a powerful challenge. It's now, for me, it's programmed into my ego. Every time I see somebody, I smile automatically because I just made a commitment to do that. That's a powerful resource, but it may be running a program that's not valuable to you. So check it. Don't eliminate it. Just check on it. Put it in its place. Make sure it's doing the things that you do. Hands to camera if you commit to be a little more aware of what we're subconsciously doing things. Our ego is doing. Awesome. Cover and move. This is a reference from the SEALs, from the book we're going to talk about in a little bit. Cover and move means you're taking action to support other people and then moving on to the next project. So you've heard me say it before: learn it, do it, teach it, learn it, do it, delegate it, learn it, do it, automate it. Make sure you have an understanding of what you're doing, and then get somebody else or a system in place. Like, we use Alchemist Connect for a lot of systems to replace ourselves. And we use our virtual assistants, we use our team members, we use our partners as systems in place so that we can cover them and move on to the next project. Get them to cover you, move on to the next. Hands to camera for grasping. It does take implementing other things, other people to replace yourself. But do not just run out there without coverage. Too many people come to me saying, I want to quit my job. I'm ready to quit. Well, whoa, where's the other stream of income? We live in an economic world. We still require money to be coming into your bank account every single month. So before you quit, let's make sure you've lined up some sort of stream of income. And let's make sure it's a little better than the one you have right now, because any new stream of income cannot be trusted. A new stream of income is suspect to changes. If you haven't gone a full 2 years, you don't know the seasons yet. You don't know when times are. This happens all the time. People get into real estate in the summer. It's like, dude, yeah, easiest time of the year to get into real estate. I get it. We're printing money in the summer, and then winter hits, and suddenly nobody's got deals, and they're crying like, oh man, maybe I should have worked my job. Maybe I made a mistake. And if you can see this, you can grasp that there are seasons. So you must have cover. Sometimes your 9 to 5 is your cover while you're building your business, while you're going out and taking new ground. We're catching this, right? We're committing. We're committed to cover and move. I love it. Number 4, the simpler, the sexier. I get business plans from entrepreneurs all the time who are saying, this is what I'm going to do. It involves 400 steps, 400 steps, and then the money comes in. We aim to be 3 steps or less from the point of contact to the point of sale. Like, I just met you, to, hey, let's have money in my bank account now. Let me provide some sort of service or value, and now money is in the account. Aim to always reduce the conversation down as simply as possible in anything, in absolutely anything. Think about your children going to bed. Do you really have to run all these different scenarios to make your children go to bed? Or you just say, hey, it's time to go to bed? Imagine if it was just one step. You say the word and then instant gratification. Hands to camera if that would be like the perfect world for anybody who's got children. You know what I'm talking about. It's not always like that, is it? Usually the scenario is 1 step, 2, I stay at 3 or 4 times, and then I've got to trick them with some sort of thing that they're going to get tomorrow. What if you just said, hey, if you go to bed now, I'm going to give you something tomorrow, and it's going to be fantastic. Hence, if you recognize you cut out a whole bunch of steps. If you know the thing, you can eliminate. So the simpler the plan, the faster you're able to get to the result you're looking for, the sexier. The straight line is usually the best line. In business, we say this, but people ignore it. I see people's business plans. It's like ding, 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 ding. Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to do that. Just go literally believe it's possible, because that's why your business plan is so complicated. You think it's got to be complex. Nothing in business is complex until it's a monster business. Yes, less friction. Alan said exactly in the chat. Love it. Step 2, create and write down the plan. You must have a plan. It's got to be a clear plan. The simpler the plan, the better. And then 3, go out and tell everybody your plan. The money will show up, the deals will show up, the properties will show up, and the people who will do the work are going to show up. You must have a simple plan. This is why at the 100 Millionaire Summit this year, you'll only be seeing a one-page business plan. The business plan is one page because it's got to be simple enough to accomplish. Chance Cam, if you like that idea, one page. We're going to be doing it with you for 3 days. We're going to build your business plan. We're going to put it all on one page so that you can actually implement it. And this is not like a little average business plan. This is the $1 million business plan, right? Because I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. Chance Cam, if you know that mission's going down, regardless of whether you approve or not, I'm building millionaires anyway. Let's get it. Chance Cam, if you're down to do it with me, you want to be one of those millionaires who's building millionaires. I appreciate and love you guys. Thank you so much for your commitment. So the next one, beyond simple and sexy, is set strict priorities and be ruthless in your execution. We're talking ruthlessly executing. If something gets in the way of your plan, it either dies or moves. That's intense. That's an intensity that you must approach everything that you're doing. It either dies or it moves for you, because you're not going around. You may have to go around, you may have to create a scenario, but until it's you get right there and you can't kill it, that's when you decide to go around. Hand cameras, that if that makes sense. It's absolute insanity. Things will move out of the way. Mountainous problems will move out of the way for you. Just like Moses, when he was crossing the Red Sea, he said, you know what? I'm gonna count on God on this one. And boom, the sea splits. It's the same thing when you have that absolute relentlessness with your goals. Things that normally would not move will move out of the way for you. And if they don't, that's where you get the boat. We're catching this? But the energy, the attitude, the strict priorities, like just being set to them. And when I say priorities, I don't actually mean priorities. I mean just one. You get one priority per year. You get one priority per month. You get one priority per week. You get one priority per day, per hour. You can never do more than one thing at once. So stop trying, right? Stop trying to do multiple things. Set your priority. What is the one thing? If you were to choose one thing such that by doing it, it'd be easier than everything else, it'd make everything else easier or unnecessary, what would that one thing be? For me, would you like to share, find out what mine is, what I believe my one thing is every day? It is to be the absolute best version of myself. So it starts with my commitments. Whatever commitments I've made to people, I then say, what is the best version of me to reach that commitment? And I don't commit to more than 100 people a year. I make a very limited amount of commitments, but I will commit other people to 100 people a year. Hands care if that makes sense. In order to scale out, I'll make sure that I have people who are committed to people who are committed to people who are committed to people. This way we can serve on a very large scale, but I can only handle a handful of commitments. So my job, my responsibility is to show up as my very best whenever I'm communicating with somebody. And I know that when I do that, everything else works out. And I've set that as a priority, and I'm ruthless in the execution. Hands care if you see it right now. You can see I show up every Saturday. Here we go. Let's get it. The next one, be decisive and steady regardless of the scenario. If there's a bull charging towards you, the secret is not to run in the direction the bull is going as well. It is to be steady, see where the bull is coming, and in the very last moment, move out of its way. But if you waver, the bull will figure it out, and it's going to impale you, which is what bulls do in those rings. Hands care if you've seen this before on TV, right? The guy is not moving, he's not dancing, he's just like, okay, little flag, come get it. And the last minute he makes his move. It's the same way in life. When you're patient, when you're looking at the scenario and you're decisive about how you're going to act, you can move gently, you can move slowly, you can move gracefully out of the way of problems, because you're in a calm state, because you're decisively taking the right actions the right way at the right time. Suddenly, you're not jerking around. You're able to move carefully. Has anybody ever done rock climbing before? Anybody watched somebody rock climb, considered rock climbing? You know what I'm talking about if I tell a story about it then. So in the rock climbing gyms, they don't have, it's not like a mountain that you're climbing. You're not, clipped into, like, you're not actually doing the chiseling and stuff. So I can't say that I've ever done this. Anybody do actual rock climbing with the chisels and like climbing those things? All right, cool. So you're like me. We're talking rubber colors in the gym zone. So as you're rock climbing, sometimes you can get to the top. Like, who here's ever gotten to the top of a course? You've done pretty damn good in one of those. Awesome. You can get there. And for me, I muscled my way up in the beginning. When I first started rock climbing, it was just like sheer muscle. Like everything was just like, ah, ah, ah. But then I started rock climbing with my buddies, and they were calculating. They're sitting there while I'm messing up, or I'm thinking about, okay, I'm pumping myself up. They're not pumping themselves up. They're watching and they're measuring weight of their body, where they're going to move, because they have experience. And so when they get on the wall, it's just hand goes here, hand goes there, and you see them swing. They use momentum, they're using their legs. Everything moves all together in one decisive action because they know how to move their bodies. They know how to get there. And at the end, they're not panting, they're not heavy breathing because they just did something that it was effortless. They went up the same path that I went up. But at the end, I'm sweating, like dripping, right? Every inch of my body is like every muscle is being used to try to get to that next spot. We're the same weight, we're the same height, we're the same muscular build, but like intelligence wise, they know how to move their body better. Hence the camera, if you know that there are scenarios like that in life that you've gotten really good at. So maybe it's conversations, maybe it's business strategies, maybe it's how you serve your customer, maybe it's your service you provide, maybe it's how you close a deal, maybe it's what you do in renovations. Hence camera, if you think you're better at what you do than other people, very good. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's confidence. You need that to be successful. You need that to take more action, be decisive. So when you're in a situation that is a little bit scary, make sure that you're decisive about how you're going to, the result you're going to come out with, and following your plan. I said this yesterday to Andrew McNamara. We were talking about plans. Should you stick to plans? And the answer is yes. If the plan is really what achieved and thought out, stick to the plan. If something comes up along the way, yes, you may make minor adjustments, but for the most part, the plan should be stuck to so that you can always review later on in your planning of things. Hey, we did this and now we know the results of doing this. But also have to be willing to adjust a little bit. Discipline equals freedom. This is my favorite one. Discipline equals freedom. What that means is you no longer have to think when you've made true decisions. Has anybody ever made a decision then the next day changed the decision? Did that ever happen? You're like, I'm gonna lose weight. I'm going to the gym. And then in the morning comes, you're like, you know what? That was a good decision for yesterday, but today that's not going to stick around. I'm not doing it. I'm not going. And then you stay at home and you do something else and you convince yourself, see, that was a good idea. That was a good play not to go to the gym. Anybody ever convince themselves of something that they did that like they really know wasn't probably the best? Here's the deal. A decision to go to the gym, it's a decision made. You never think about it again. When the morning comes up and my mind's like, hey, do you really want to go? I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter because I already said I was going to go. So I just get out of bed and I go because I made the decision. The power of discipline, right? That ability to just say, I made a decision. I don't have to think about it anymore. That power allows you to move faster through the day. Anybody know, like when you just know, like your calendar's booked for you, you just do it. Hence, if you've noticed that the power that comes from it's on the calendar, I just show up. I just do it. Who booked the calendar? You booked the calendar. You decided what was going to be done. So you knew at the time that this was the right thing to do. Ego was there. Ego was thinking, all right, like, what do we want? We want all the money. We want all the love. We want all the relationship. We want everybody to be happy with us. Hands if you want everybody happy with you, if that's a thing. Yeah, I mean, like subconsciously, probably. It's probably not going to happen. Here's the deal. Be okay with not having everybody happy with you, but do the things that you believe would help you get to the result that you're looking for, right? Do those things regardless of whether they're happy with you or not, because that's who you are. That's who you want to be. So I don't have Mike Shine today. So even though Mike Shine, the keeper of the books, is not here, let's give him a big blessing and send him some positivity. He's out driving around his kids. He's got five kids, multimillionaire, running the game. So I will do the book of the week. So this week's book of the week is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Doug McGurk, would you like to share some of your awarenesses that you gained from Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership?
It's been a spell since I read it, but you've pretty much covered it. It's really, I mean, he was a Navy SEAL, so it was really about bringing in the extreme discipline and follow through and dedication. And it's huge about, mindset, to Terry's point, action set, like all of these pieces that all come in. And quite honestly, as we say this oftentimes, there's only so many ways you could draw a square. So one of the great things about all of these books is while they all have different focuses, they all bring us back to the same thing, which is take personal responsibility. The only thing we can control is ourselves, how we respond, and taking massive action to get to our goals. And Jocko's brilliant. If you should also listen to his podcasts and everything. He's an intense dude, and you've pretty much kind of did a great synopsis just by this conversation around ownership. So yeah, great job.
Let's give Doug McGurk a big round of applause presenting our book of the week. I appreciate it, you, Doug. And every week we read 52 books a year because we read one book per week. The average person only reads one book per year, which means, and they never even finish the first chapter. So that means we have a 52-1 advantage over every other person when it comes to knowledge. I was listening to a video by Eric Thomas, ET, And he was saying he was in a conversation with Warren Buffett. And he asked Warren Buffett, he said, Warren, what does your day look like? Who knows E.T.? Who knows Eric Thomas? All right. So he's got that kind of sound. He's like, what's your day look like, man? Like, what's it look like? I want to know what, because he said, I want to know what a champion, the 5th richest man in the world, looks like. I want to know what he's doing in his day. And he said, well, to be honest, the first thing I do is I read for about 7 hours. So Eric's like, what are you reading? You know, what is the richest man in the world reading for 7 hours? Like, what is this, right? He's like, if you're not reading 7 hours, then I understand. That's why he's got the advantage. So like, I wasn't reading, right? So that's his point. Like, I wasn't reading 7 hours. So then Warren says, you know, sometime I'll go back and I'll read Forbes 1997. You know, like Ford was doing good in that year. And ET's like, why are you reading reports from 1997? He said, well, because it was a year that they did great. And if I can go back, like greatness doesn't have a year on it, is what Warren said. Greatness doesn't have a time on it. So if they did great then, I can look at what actions they were doing then and then apply them to today. So he'll study the past. And these books, these 52 books were written, some of them 100 years ago, and they still work. Like books like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Chance if you've read that book. You're talking about 100 years ago. Science of Getting Rich, Wallace D. Wattles. It's a game changer, the game of life. Some of these books are 50, 60, 100 years old, and they're still working. One of the books, we don't actually have it on the 52 Weeks to Wealth, but you got the Bible out there, right? That's full of money-making principles. That shit's thousands of years old. Hands the camera if you recognize, like, the principles to success are not hidden, but they have to be used. So that's why I read a book a week. Let's give Doug one more round of applause for hooking us up. I'm going to go through a quick little synopsis I did for this book of the week as well. Here is a summary. 3 lessons from this book. The first is a team's success depends on the leader's willingness to take blame for failure. And the reason I put this together is because I wasn't sure if somebody had read the book. So one more big round of applause for Doug. Lesson number 2 that I got from Extreme Ownership is identify priorities and take action on them one at a time to remain efficient when the pressure mounts. As things get more difficult, people will naturally think that they can do more by thinking all over the place, but truly successful people do less. They prioritize the most important thing and they bang it out one at a time, carefully, intentionally, putting all their focus on one thing, doing it very well, executing properly. And then lesson 3, effective leaders mitigate risks before a mission or project begins. Each one of you is an effective leader. At least that's how I see you. I see each one of you as somebody who's running an organization, running a family, running a team, running a mission, something big that your intention is to create in a positive result for yourself and for your community, the people around you. Hands down if you agree, you're running something. You're a leader. Absolutely. There is room for growth in every leader in the world. Every leader has an opportunity. Hands down if you believe that about our political leaders. They got some room to grow, right? It's like that anywhere you go. If you've ever worked for a boss, we're like, hey, you know, that guy could definitely, or that gal could grow here or there. There's opportunities. If we think that the people who are running things above our station could grow, what does that mean about us? It certainly means that we have room to grow. We have room to achieve more. There's more for us to have. And so we created a challenge, which I'm going to share with you. Who's heard of the Recessionproof Challenge? Who's heard of it? Who's in the Recessionproof Challenge right now? Let's give everybody in the challenge a big round of applause. I'm going to share with you, everybody who's watching outside of the challenge, I'm going to share with you what these champions, what these leaders are doing. Every single day, they're reaching out to 10 different contacts. That's 10 different contacts they're reaching out to today, 10 they reached out to yesterday. Every day, they're adding 4 of those contacts to their database, which means 6 of those people they talked to were not worthy of their deep relationship. And the only way they know that is because they had to have a conversation. They had to filter it out. And the reason they're doing this challenge is so that they can become recession proof. That is the goal behind it. So they're getting known. They want more attention. So they post an image, video, or conversation starter on Facebook, at least 1 per day. And now, because we're in week 3 of it, they're posting out on groups. And if you recognize more eyeballs means more people know about you, means they might flow you. They might send you some of that paper we're all looking for, those deals. And then they spend 10 minutes reading from one of our 3 books. 10 minutes or 10 pages a day. It doesn't seem like a lot. And I know some of them have already crushed through the books. I know Natalia's on here. She's like, I read a book a day. So this book a day thing is I burned through those books already, first 3 days of the challenge. The Recession Proof Challenge is not for the weak. It's not for people who are accepting that we're in a recession and saying, well, fuck it, I guess I'm making less money or things are gonna be more difficult for me. This is only for the players who say, I've got the abundance mindset to get around this. I'm going to build relationships with 100 people. That's right. 100 100 is a number I love because it's a number you can do. I'm going to build relationships with 100 people who are the exact avatar that I'm looking for. Many of the people in the Recession Proof Challenge, many of our participants, our challengers, they are doing capital raising. So they're building relationships with 100 people who have high net worth. So those 10 contacts are reaching out each day, those 10 contacts, the goal is to find somebody who's an accredited investor. Only 4 out of those 10 will likely be an accredited investor. Hence, you're starting to see the math of why we do what we do. Absolutely. Some may be on their way, some may be close, but at least 2 for sure will be an accredited investor. Reach out to 10 people, that's 20% of the people you're reaching out to. They're targeting their people. They're not just reaching out to random people. They're not going to Walmart and be like, hey, you 10 people, how are you? This is not Walmart door greeter stuff. This is literally they're targeting the group they're going to hang out with. Then when they get to the group, they're targeting and saying, who's got my money? We're getting this. It's making sense. So it's a very intentional challenge. And if you haven't already joined the challenge, if you're not already in it, we're starting again fresh September 1st. For everybody who's in the challenge, my strong suggestion, if you haven't executed on every step of all 30 missions, join it again, because your execution the second time will be better. The first time you're still kind of learning, you're wrapping your head around it. Who's noticed in the challenge that a week later you're thinking about the first ones, the first missions? Yes. What about on week 3? Who's noticed on week 3 you're thinking about the missions on week 2 and 1, and you're thinking about, oh, I could have done that a little differently, I could have done it a little better. Now that I'm here, I have an idea of what I could have done there. And if that's been true for pretty much everybody in the challenge. Absolutely. It's interesting. I really would have loved to be able to say, hey, this is exactly what it looks like, but I know that it wouldn't have worked. You have to go through, take the accountability to say, I'm going to do something half-assed, get it just done. And then the next time you come through it, now you've had time, your mind, your reticular activator has thought about solutions to making it better, ways to improve. Once it exists in your world, because once you've taken action on something, once you've done something in the physical world, your mind starts thinking about how you could have done better. Does that make sense? We've seen that before, haven't we? We've seen it everywhere in our life. Until we've done something, even halfway, until we've done something, we don't know what we would have done differently. When it's just ideas and theories, I could post the 30 missions. I could easily post the 30 missions and say, hey, this is what the challenge looks like. And people would look at it and say, and not do it. But when we go one mission at a time, when we go one challenge at a time, suddenly things get done. Who's noticed they've been more productive in the last 20 days, because it's been 20 days been on this mission, than you did in the previous life? Because you're a new person now, right? Give yourselves a round of applause. Everybody in the Recession Proof Challenge, I absolutely love it. I love seeing the success. I love seeing the questions.